Hello everyone, this is Tactical Lich here, and today we are having another Total War Warhammer 2 online multiplayer replay. And today's battle is a first-time submission from viewer Seraph4, rolling with a rather special Dawi army, as their leader is no longer Thoric Ironbrow on his toilet seat, but Ungrim Iron Fist, the man, the myth, the legend, the Slayer King. Now just look at how magnificent his mohawk is, and he will be leading the army of Dawi with more melee-centric build, with a bunch of longbeards in the front supported by some miners with blasting charges. We have some longbeards with great weapons on the flanks, and now at the back we have a single unit of miners with some chevron upgrades, using leftover funds to give them a bit more staying power, protecting 3 quarrelers who will be responsible for countering the skirmish cavalry of the greenskins, accompanying some slayers. In the middle we have the anchor of the whole army here, Norgrimling Ironbreakers. These elite Ironbreakers regiment of renown will literally fight to the last man. Now for leadership, other than Ungrim Iron Fist with most of his abilities and buffs, we also have Master Engineer with Smoke Bomb and the Fiery Ring of Thori. For his opponent, LP Nero here, we have a greenskin army with, of course, the staple stuff, Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, the skirmishing cavalry spreading around the battlefield. They'll be nice to poke at the slayers who do not have any armor and will be rather vulnerable to the missile damage. And due to the map being such a haggard formation, like there are layers and layers of ridges and cliffs, the greenskins are using the terrain to their advantage here, deploying, obtaining the high ground with the artillery here, the rock lobbers. They will be occupying the top side of this cliff and bombard the Dawi formation. Now for the rest of the greenskin army, they will be blockading all these fronts, just basically setting up defenses around here and also getting some unit screening over here to prevent any Dawi sneak attacks. And they will be using the infantry here, very numerous. Savage Orcs supported by Black Orcs. The armor piercing will be great against the armored Dawi infantry, and some goblins in the front as fodder. Now over here, we have some Night Goblins as well as the 8-peaked Loonies here, using their stock attribute to hide in plain sight, preventing Dawi from flanking around, hitting the artilleries in the back. We also have some goblins protecting the artillery crew, and that's basically it for the main army. We also have some Spider Riders and a Night Goblin Shaman hidden in the forest. Bring in some spells including Curse of the Bad Moon, Vindictive Glare, and Sneaky Stabbing, the Cunning Lituwa lore. For the melee department of the greenskin leadership, of course we have Grom the Paunch on his chariot, basically the most powerful lord of the greenskin army other than Grimgor. Grimgor might be the best, but definitely not as popular as the Big Fat Goblin. And Grom the Paunch is accompanied by a Black Orc Big Boss on foot, and that is basically all for the greenskins army build. And let's get the battle started. Ungrim Iron Fist is not exactly the greatest choice of Dawi lords, as Thoric Ironbrow's Rune of Doom is so powerful, but against the greenskins, since they always bring a bunch of monsters to trash the Dawi frontline, say Stone Trolls, and also of course Grom the Paunch, a chariot, to bully the Dawi with his mass. Ungrim Iron Fist might actually be decent against Grom the Paunch with all the anti-large attacks, especially his items and abilities. Let us just find the man himself and have a look at his abilities. The Axe of Dargo, plus 32 bonus versus large and plus 50% armor piercing weapon damage. That is a huge boon to killing anything. And combined with the Deadly Onslaught, this guy can literally take down Grom the Paunch in a matter of seconds if he get a nice engagement and actually catch him in melee combat. Now of course that is going to be an issue here, as the greenskin is going on a skirmishing attempt with the skirmish cavalry slowly chipping away the dragonback slayers. The nice counterfire from the quarrelers is pushing away the skirmish cavalry, but unfortunately the goblobbers have been firing and doing some decent damage to some of the Dawi infantry, including these longbeards, taking massive losses before even engaging into melee combat. And in the front we also have Grom the Paunch here just freely charging around using the mass and speed advantage, doing some quick chariot hit and run tactics, quickly charging into a longbeard, pull out again and charge into another longbeard unit. basically cycle charging through, as they do not have the need to push forward to attack. They have the range advantage, they have the skirmishing advantage to poke around. Of course, they are taking some damage from the crawlers, nice screening there with the firepower, and with some miners standing by, the greenskin skirmish cavalry can't exactly charge in either, as the crawlers with heavy armor and decent melee stats will be able to tie them down in melee combat, while the miners will rush in to finish the job. And now finally, the Dawi has reached the front line. They're throwing some blasting charges, cleaning up a bunch of goblins. Of course, goblins, they are expandable. Their job is to absorb these blasting charges before the savage orcs takes too much damage from the explosives. And with the Dawi finally entering charging distance, the greenskins here are counter-charging, but a nice pullback with the savage orcs, basically denying the miners with blasting charges for the moment here, even able to dodge some of the explosive damage. And they'll be pulling back while keep using the Hammer of Gork and the Rock Lobbers, hammering all these Longbeards with great weapons, and maybe some of the Dragonback Slayers as well. There's actually some squigs I totally missed in terms of deployment. They will be rushing forward. Their armor-piercing anti-infantry attacks will be decent against the Dawi. At the back, the Crawlers have done a great job in pushing off all these skirmish cavalry. You can see them taking massive losses from the firepower, but the frontline engagement has begun, with Ungrim Iron Fist quickly charging into combat against the Black Orc Big Boss, using his buffs to give the Black Orcs a proper crumpin. Just look at how fast the Bob melted under the big ol' axe of Ungrim Iron Fist. And with the Black Orc Big Boss on the run, the Goblins will be moving in to support this combat, trying to pin in the Ungrim Iron Fist with all his attack buffs on, and prevent him from getting onto Grom the Paunch, who is surrounded by Slayers and Longbeards taking some massive armor piercing and anti-large damage. While on the other flank, a fiery ring of fury gone down onto the Savage Orcs, ignoring their physical resistance with that magical damage, allowing the Longbeards to push through, but now the Black Orcs are ready to countercharge. But what awaits them is a volley of explosive charges from the Norgrimling Ironbreakers, giving these Savage Orcs a taste of gunpowder and technology. Now over here, some Night Goblins fanatics are fighting a losing battle against the Slayers and Longbeards. However, there is a beautiful Fanatics cast ripping through the ranks of the expensive Dawi infantry, giving them much more value. Still, they are routed and the Dragonback Slayers will be pushing for the back line, where the Rock Lobbers are exposed with nothing to protect them at all, while the Longbeards, supported by the explosive charges, will soon rout off the Black Orcs, who are wavering under the might of their big ol' axes as well as the explosive charges. But with the Black Orc Big Boss charging in, providing some leadership support, this front is stabilized, and now the Norgrimling's Ironbreakers will be pushing into combat as well. While over here, Ungrim Iron Fist tried to get onto Grom the Paunch, but stuck on the Goblins and also his own man, the surrounding Slayers and Longbeards. The tragedy of Footlord strikes as he's unable to push through and get to Grom the Paunch, who is just rolling around the battlefield, pushing through all he wants with his mass advantage. At the back, we have some AP Loonies getting into combat against some miners and pushing, threatening these Quarrelers. Although the nice reaction from the Quarrelers here, cross-firing into the Goblin Spider Rider Archers, will be routing off the last of the skirmish cav. Another nice Fanatic cast, ripping right through all these Quarrelers and miners, doing some good damage overall. At the back, we have an angry ball of Dawi infantry, the Norgrimling Ironbreakers, the Slayers, and also Ungrim Iron Fist himself trying to catch Grom the Paunch. But Grom the Paunch is simply too fast for the Dwarven legs. He will be running through his own men, protected by the Night Goblins here, ping-ponging around the battlefield. To thin out the AP Loonies, a fiery ring of fury is cast, burning away greenskin filth from the Dwarven lands. Being unbreakable, the best way to kill off AP Loonies is not to fight them, as it will give you a lot of damage in return, but to kill them with magic and fire. And so these AP Loonies took some significant HP damage from the fiery ring due to their low armor. Being weakened by magic damage, these goblins might fight to the last man, but they will be dishing out much less damage in the process. On the other flank, the Black Orcs successfully finished off all the Longbeards, now threatening the Quarrelers. But the Norgrimling Ironbreakers, who dealt with their previous opponents, will be rushing in to protect the ranged power, intercepting the Black Orcs and the rest of the Greenskin units. At this point, the Greenskins have lost all their long-range killing power. Rock Lobbers basically ran out of ammo, the other one is routed, and now the Night Goblin Shaman will be responsible for all the artillery fire, as they were trying to use the Vindictive Glare to chip away the HP of Ungrim Iron Fist. Over here, the Dragonback Slayers is slain to the last man due to the Savage Orcs being a really good offensive unit damage dealers. They trade really cost effectively against Slayers who have low armor and cannot mitigate the high weapon strength on these Savage Orcs. So they will be now pushing forward, trying to threaten these Quarrelers, while the Black Orcs are not exactly having a good time fighting the Ungrimlings, failing to penetrate their high melee defense, taking some damage from the Quarrelers, and now Ungrim Iron Fist is just killing, slicing them apart with his big ol' axe of Dargle. Although Grom the Punch is now rolling into these Quarrelers, doing some nice damage with the support from the Goblins and Savage Orcs, and Ungrim Iron Fist along with some Ungrimling Ironbreakers will be rushing in to support this fight, trying to hunt down Grom the Punch. And Grom the Punch, getting a bit over-eager for the engagement, is charging head-on into combat, allowing Ungrim to catch him. With all his items and abilities activated, Ungrim is slaughtering Grom the Punch in melee combat, especially now that he does not have his Lucky Banner active. And with Grom the Punch being routed by Ungrim in literal seconds, the Greenskin army is falling apart. There are still some remnant forces lying around the Goblin Shaman trying to drop a Curse of the Bad Moon on some Dawi units. There are some Black Orcs and also the 8-Peak Loonies are still fighting, but they are not enough to clean up so many Dawi infantry, especially not the Iron Breakers, who received some extra blasting charges from the Master Engineer and was blowing up some Black Orcs. And with that army losses kicked in, leaving only the 8-Peak Loonies still fighting on the battlefield, let us fast forward as the Dwarfs will be claiming the victory for today. Before we go into the army performances, just want to say a big thanks to Sarah for sending in this replay. It's been a while since I ever seen Ungrim Iron Fist in action. And viewers, thank you for watching as well. I hope you enjoyed the replay. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to get notified every time I upload a new video. They'll be ranging from topics including battle replays like this one, wild army builds, and tips and strategies for Total War Warhammer online multiplayer. And if you have any replays you want to send in, feel free to drop by my Discord or send me an email with the replay file attached. I'll be sure to check them out. Now, army performances. We have the Dawi army here. The blasting charges of the miners did some really good damage. This one even getting a lot of quality melee damage. Longbeards, they were a very sturdy holding force, but not exactly great damage dealers. Basically got cleaned up by a combination of Rock Lobbers and Black Orcs. Slayers though did a great job at pressuring the Greenskin army, especially the Dragonbacks were able to shut down at least one of the Rock Lobbers, and unfortunately they got hunted down by the Savage Orcs, who are great at killing unarmored units. Still, Slayers fighting to their last man managed to do some impressive damage. Now for the Quarrelers, they were not exactly great damage dealers against the Greenskins, especially given the heavily armored Black Orcs, but they were great at dealing with their skirmishing cavalry. Their counterfire will be able to shut down the squishier skirmishers, and also they have decent enough melee stats that the Goblin Wolf Riders and Spider Riders cannot quickly kill them off and rout them, because the Quarrelers will hold in melee combat. Ungrimling Ironbreakers, they're armed to the teeth, extremely elite. Their high melee defense allows them to hold down even the most elite of Black Orcs, and was able to do some impressive damage with the explosive charges, blasting away the elites of the Greenskins. And Ungrim Iron Fist, 1600 damage. It was definitely a good amount of damage dealt, not only to the Black Orc Big Boss who he killed in a one-on-one melee combat, but also the anti-large attacks is great at dealing with Grom the Punch, shutting him down in the end game. And don't forget that the Slayer King was able to fight through a bunch of Greenskin infantry as well, earning quite a bit of value in that regard. Now Master Engineer has some really nice fiery ring of Thori there, blasting away the Savage Orcs and especially the 8-Peak Loonies. Now for the Greenskin army, their artillery was a great threat to the Dawi today due to their elite armor being ignored by the armor-piercing rocks of the Rock Lobbers, doing some really nice damage. However, the skirmishers and the mobility, including the Squig Herds, were not able to do too much good damage as the Squig Herds were caught in combat by the Dragonbacks. As for the rest of the infantry there, the Savage Orcs and the Night Goblins were not able to do too much melee damage due to the heavy armor. The Goblin infantry as well basically got routed as soon as they go into melee combat against the Dawi, but there were some great fanatics cast today, some of them ripping through the Dragonbacks and the Longbeards doing some nice damage overall. The Black Orcs always a solid infantry doing some good damage and getting some good kills, but these ones still having quite a bit of gas left, but unfortunately the army losses kicks in before they can use up their remaining HP. And the blasting charges, nor Gremlings, Ironbreakers are all too much for them to deal with in the end. As for the leadership, the Black Orc Big Boss got routed by Ungrim in the very first seconds of melee combat, and the Night Goblin Shaman, theoretically, Curse of the Bad Moon is great as a vertex spell to kill densely packed infantry, but in practice it does not actually do that much damage, only 173 damage value overall, despite multiple Curse of the Bad Moon casts. As for Grom the Paunch, despite rolling around the battlefield, ping-ponging around different units using that Psycho Charge to his advantage, he was not actually doing that much damage due to the superior melee defense on the Dawi infantry, especially the more elite Longbeards, and also in multiple occasions being caught by anti-large infantry, the Slayers, and also the armor piercing of the Longbeards made him took a lot of damage. He was also constantly being forced to avoid combat due to the presence of Ungrim Iron Fist, so overall he didn't actually stay in combat for that long, and that greatly limited his damage output. And that's basically it for today's battle. I hope you enjoy it and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.